Welcome to this week's Talking Codswallop. I'm Gemma. It's just me again this week, guys. Just a little bit of background so that you actually know what's going on. James is still part of the podcast. Don't worry, it's not just me. But, and I mean, it is just me if it is just me, but it isn't. So we are working on some fun things in the background, and it's involving YouTube. So if you enjoy our show and you could head over to our YouTube channel and follow us there is going to be some fun things coming down the pipeline, and we are working on them, but I'm also learning how to do video editing. Little note to Jamie Westwood, thank you for your help. Can you hurry up? No, I'm joking. But no, Jamie Westwood is helping me with this as well. So this is a quick-ish recording, but not quite as quick as last week's episode, which you guys didn't seem to like Valentine's Day. So, can you go back and have a listen to that? Support that one as well, because there is some really funny things in there, and it's not just all lovey-dovey. Don't worry, it's not all lovey-dovey. I wouldn't do that to you guys, because I know that you're all as cynical as I am. So, this week, in 2025, so the beginning of 2025, I made it a mission that I would be listening to indie podcasters. All the big podcasts are amazing and whatnot, but it's really the indie podcasters that need our support. And I've strongly thought this for a long, long time. And of course, relevant to this podcast as well. So as much support as you can give us, obviously, that is massively appreciated. So thank you ever so much. I have found some absolutely awesome podcasts in the last year or so, and they are going to continue being listened to as well, because they've wowed me, basically. So there's all different types of podcasts that I've been listening to. Some of them are from the Unfiltered Studio network, which is the network that we are part of and very proud of being part of. There's such a lovely group of people there. But other ones I've just found organically as well. And so it's a completely different range of podcasts, from self-help to a travel one, to comedy, to movie reviews, all sorts. Yeah, I thought it would be a good thing for me to actually give them a shout out, but I also contacted them to give us a little bit of spiel as well, so that I could read it out on the podcast and maybe encourage you guys to go and have a listen to these guys' shows. So I'm going to start off. There's in no particular order. I'm just picking at random because I love them all equally. I'm going to start with Scott Showalter from the podcast Nailed It. And it's a travel podcast. He gives lots of tips and things like that. And it's pretty awesome. Yeah. And here's what he wanted to say. So, hey there, travelers. It's Scott Showalter. And I'm the owner of Nailed It Travel Company. And I started the company about 2 years ago, pretty much because I loved to travel and figured, why not help other people do the same thing and make a little bit of cash on the way? Why not? Definitely. Cash is good. I like money. Go to our TeePublic site and buy a t-shirt, please. So the dream became a reality. And since then, I've helped many folks plan their dream vacations, whether it is a cruise somewhere sunny, a destination wedding, a corporate incentive trip, or that bucket list trip that they've been thinking about for a while. I've been to 23 different countries, so I can certainly talk about my many different places and give you advice and some great trips should you choose to visit one of them that I have been to. I really love what I do, and it gives me a great joy to get that picture or that message from a client after their trip to really solidify that I did my part. So, Scott, that's really awesome. That in part is why I started my podcast, Show Me Your Trips, so that I can share travel tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. It even gives some insight into the questions and concerns that some of my clients have asked. Would you love to check it out? I think you should. Happy to help you plan your next adventure. And you can find him on Instagram, and he put X, but I'm still going to say Twitter because, I'm rebellious, at Show Me Your Trips. And you can also visit nailedittravel.net for more information. Work hard, play hard, but whatever you do, make sure you nailed it. So awesome. Thank you ever so much, Scott. And yeah, like I said, it's a really awesome thing. The episodes are not overly long, so they're nice sort of bite-sized pieces. So it's quite easy for listening and things like that. But also, like he said, he gives some great travel tips and tricks and maybe, advice on how to, I'm trying to think of one of his episodes, but it's like, with regards to like walking around in a foreign country, whether you different apps that you can use and things like that, it's just great. And he's also currently doing the ABCs of all of America. So he's going through the alphabet and telling you different locations in America at the moment. So, and it's not just your bog standard places. It is actually quite interesting places. So, so I'm not going to spoil anything. You have to go and check him out. So the other podcast that I've listened to, and I've already mentioned him sort of, is Jamie Westwood's podcast. And of course, he's there with his co-host, Tom. It's the Chronicles of Podcast, a podcast of two halves, where hosts Jamie and Tom take you on a whirlwind adventure. First off, they chronicle the story of the guests who venture from all around the world with their unique stories. Whether it be actors, makeup artists, musicians, professional wrestlers, and even puppeteers. On top of that, every week, the boys deliver a round of utter nonsense. It is sure to tickle your funny bone and shake your head in disbelief. It comes out every Friday at 12 p.m. UK time. So, yeah, these guys, I mean, they've been many times on the podcast. If you're a long-time Salty Tadpole, that you know that these guys have been a big support for us. But also, it's the fact that they are good friends as well. Definitely Jamie Westwood. Not any disrespect to Tom, but Jamie is one of my closest friends. So, but I've listened to them for the last, I think they've gone on for about 7 years. In that time, it's been different variations of this podcast. And I mean, those guys, yeah, they've always cracked me up, and it always makes me feel, it's always fun. It's always fun listening to these guys. So they do make me laugh, and they do have some awesome guests as well. So 100% check them out. So we're going to go across the pond for a bit now, and we're going to go over to America and Canada for the Twisted and Uncorked podcast. Now, this is two wonderful best friends in two countries that chat twisted topics over cocktails and mocktails. Now, just recently, full disclosure, they have finished this podcast, but however, there is still like 200 plus episodes to go back and listen to. So I think you really need to go back and listen to them. And they talk about sometimes serial killers, 90s nostalgia, fun facts, and general chaos. It's all different things, hauntings, whether aliens exist, and it's a very, very awesome podcast and very, very good. And also they make a cocktail and a mocktail or a mocktail to go along with the episode as well. So if you like to indulge, you can always make the drink to drink it alongside listening to the podcast. So I also like the fact that they drop the episode every Tuesday, and they always say, see you next Tuesday. So I'm not sure if they're being innocent there or if they're being very, very cheeky. But yeah, you still, again, like I said, unfortunately, they have closed their doors on the podcast, but that doesn't mean that a lot of hard work hasn't gone into the episodes. I still needed them to be included in the shout out because they really are. I'm going to say this a lot, but they really are awesome. They're really funny, and it's very silly, but it's also quite serious as well. They do serious topics, they get emotional with it, and it's brilliant. So go check them out. And then a side project for one of the co-hosts from Twisted and Uncorked. It's a podcast called Truly Twisted, and this is hosted by Alicia Watson. The show dedicates every episode to a victim alone. So she will take a case, and it could be either a well-known case, or it could be a case of a victim who, we might not be overly familiar with, like a disappearance, or, the case has already been solved, but, she's still making aware of it. But it's also the fact that she's actually making light of a lot of cases that are still open cases, or cold cases, I think they're actually technically called. And she's making everyone aware of it, and actually, is trying to sort of get some resolve sorted with this. So, she's doing an amazing job over there. And also another thing that she does as well is that if she's talking about a certain location as well, she's actually picking up a recent case about them as well, which she's sort of putting towards the end of it. So it's to make you aware of a new case that's just come out as well, which I think is, again, it's really, really cool idea. And she's just trying to help the world. She's just trying to help get like peace for the family members, that are all going through this, whether, like I said, it's a person who's disappeared, persons that's disappeared, or, the unfortunate case that the person has been murdered, and things like that. It's horrible to think about, but I think it's very important. I think it's very important to have your eyes open to this kind of thing, because it is real, and unfortunately it is going on out there. So, right. So we're still in America. So that Florida feeling. This is Jodie. Jodie is on the next two podcasts. So she runs That Florida Feeling and That Tennessee Feeling. And I'll talk about the Tennessee Feeling shortly. So it dives into the wild experiences and wonderful stories that can only happen in Florida. And it really does. Each episode blends humor, curiosity, and local flavor to explore the people, places, and moments that define the Sunshine State. It's a fun, fast listen that captures Florida's energy in all its unexpected form. And of course, for the most part, she ends the episode with Florida Man as well. So, because we all know that he gets up, well, he and she, sorry, it's Florida Lady as well, but they both get up to some crazy shit, don't they? So, it's always fun to hear that as well. But yeah, so she's doing some really cool stuff over there. And, also like is a bit in the sense that you kind of can travel in that sense as well. So, like if you were to go to Florida and you were thinking of a location that you wanted to go visit or whatever, there's a chance that she's already talked about it. I think she worked at Disney at some point as well. So, there's a lot of things that she's covered. Some of them are locations, some of them are hauntings, some of them are, the typical Florida man. And, there's a lot of things. And also watch out for those alligators. I think it is gators over there. So, yeah. So, and hopefully one day we're going to be able to arrange it that I can be a guest on her podcast as well. But obviously, time difference is an issue. So if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if it does happen, that's also awesome. So moving over to her other podcast that she does, which is very similar in style, and it's That Tennessee Feeling. This is a laid-back podcast that captures the heart of Tennessee life, from local culture and music to everyday stories and the Southern pride. With easy conversation and authentic voices, it celebrates the people, places, and moments that make Tennessee feel like home. So again, yeah, it's just great. Check it out. Now we're popping over to Ireland. So we're going to talk about Tis Yourself podcast. Now, Nicola's been on our podcast. Well, she's done a couple of snippets, but she's also been a guest on this podcast as well. And I think the episode was called Tis Your Codswallop, possibly. And obviously it's a play on words there because combining the two podcasts. So, and Nicola is the only host on this podcast, but she also has a wonderful guest each week. Some people are very, very well known. Some people are not quite as well known, but they're still all got a fascinating story. So this is a showbiz indie podcast from Ireland, hosted by Nicola, but the guests are global. She speaks to TV stars like Tate Donovan from Friends, Bobby Burke from SVU, and a couple of people, I actually can't say the person's name, but the first name is Kristen Vaginus, maybe? Vaginus, I'm so sorry, I'm butchering her name, but she's from Criminal Minds, about their careers, mental health, advocacy, family, and more. And most times she gets stories none of us have ever heard from the star before, which is absolutely true. I remember hearing one episode, I can't remember who guest was, but they opened up about their mental health, and it was almost quite alarming, but it was really important. It would make everybody aware of the situation and look out for, all of the different signs that depression gives, to maybe if your family or loved ones are actually suffering, kind of thing. So, but no, again, awesome. She's had some incredible guests, some of which I'm very, very jealous of. She's the recent one, the one that I can think of. She spoke to 90 star Kavanagh. That was quite, I was quite jealous of that one. And I think there are a few others. Oh, Dr. Carl Kennedy as well, with real name actually slips my mind. But, as a Neighbours fan, that was awesome as well. But there are an awful lot more. So, yeah, go check it out. So, again, we're moving over to America now with Believing the Bizarre, a podcast that explores the paranormal. They are two friends that are believers, but our heads aren't so open, our brains fall out. And we look at cases of paranormal with logic, humor, then rate them on our believability scale at the end of every episode. I hope you find their stories scary and their jokes funny. Yeah, they talk about Bigfoot, Fae, aliens. It's all sorts of wonderful paranormal things. And and like I said, they get listener submissions as well. And they put it through the believability scale as they mentioned in their speech there. But so they wonder if it's actually, if they're actually believable, or if it's skeptical, or, if they darn right don't think that it's actually anything, and they sort of try and debate it and things like that. So there are really, again, fun episodes. And I think recently they talked about the dark web as well. And yeah, I'm trying to think of a couple of latest episodes, but that one's the one that pops into my mind. So yeah, it's anything and everything. So anything paranormal and that sort of realm of things they will sort of talk about and cover. But they have got a wonderful sense of humor as well. Very funny. Now, one person who hasn't submitted, but I'm still going to talk about them anyway, because he has had a few issues with regards to family issues. And I don't want to go into things because it's none of my business to talk about. But I wanted to give a shout out to Kev Pound, who is from the Stupid History podcast. I've been on his podcast a couple of times. He's been on our podcast. So you probably, if you're a regular listener, you're going to have heard about Kev Pound. He is awesome. He does a Stupid History podcast, which is basically he'll talk about one item in particular. Say, for example, the most popular episode I think that he's ever had is about pickles. And he literally talks for about a minute. He has a script to talk about for a minute, and it is just insane. Also, I think it's insane that how long, how many people have actually listened to that episode as well. So, yeah, so minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes at the most, with his like intro and stuff. But, he's literally talking for a minute about certain different items, and he has themes as well. So, just check it out. A Stupid History Minute. Maybe you could listen to a load of those episodes and quite easily. And, I think he's got like over 1,000 downloads because he does it on a daily basis. But 1,000 episodes. And because he does it on a daily basis. And he literally will record. He has a theme. Sometimes he has a theme every week, every month, sorry. And he's. I mean, if you were to listen to all 1,000, then you could probably easily get that done in a day, couldn't you? So, go and support that one. That's nice and easy. Now we're going into the movie review podcast. So we're starting with So Wizard Podcast. Is a completely new concept in the world of podcasting as three friends review nerdy movies, TV, and sometimes more. Ooh. Yes, okay, they are joking at that point. So jokes aside, we are a weekly podcast, new release movies, review podcast, and have been podcasting weekly since 2014. With literally 0 breaks. So they have not missed a week. Can I just give them a round of applause, because I'm not very good at doing that. And I think that is absolutely awesome. So well done. So they've literally had no weeks off, and it's not like seasons or weeks or anything like that. I mean, obviously sometimes the co-host kind of might need to have the week off, but literally the podcast will be released every week. So you've got the 3 co-hosts, or the main guys anyway, which is Joey, Aubrey, and Mark Ellis, with the occasional guest to look at the latest in geeky cinema each week. And they review it honestly as well. And I think because they've got 3 people on there for the most part, it is it's something that they'll literally have all different opinions about it as well. So one of them might be given 5 out of 5, the other one might be given 0 out of 5. It is an interesting listen, and they talk about all the different things that they dislike, the things that they like, and they also, just like at the beginning, they talk about their cinema experience as well. So it's kind of like the whole shebang really with it. So they also have a YouTube channel where Adam and Brian review more movies as a supplement to the audio podcast. Links to everything can be found at sowizardpodcast.com. We'd love you to check them out and interact on our socials. So go on, head on over. But don't forget to listen to me as well. I'm giving you all these recommendations. I don't want you to stop listening to us, okay? I'm pointing my finger and wagging it, okay? This is just my way of giving a little shout out to all these people. So we have 4 more, sorry. So Cinematic Leap podcast. Now we're going very down under to our Aussies. Oi, oi, oi. So yeah, I love these guys. And just in general, they're so supportive in everything that they do, like whether it's weekly shout outs or whatever, they really try to interact with people, and it's just amazing. And I say it's more Scott than the other 2 lads, but still, they do an incredible work, and they really, really try to help out people. So a podcast where we decide our next film by leaping with an actor, director, or crew member to determine their next film. We discuss what we didn't like, and why each of us are wrong. And of course, they've got the Aussie banter as well. So, it's always quite fun. I think that Aussie banter is incredible. So, so they just said also in general banter about film and cinema. As we leap from film to film, we rotate between the three hosts who each have different film tastes. And one of them really doesn't like screechy tires as well. Looking at you, Glenn. Just for you, Glenn. But we are committed to watching the chosen film, even if we hate it. It at least makes for a fun discussion where we tear it to bits while one of us defends why it's supposedly a great film. We hope you will join us. You can find Cinematic Leap on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, all the normal places basically. And they're saying that if they're not on your preferred listening platform, let them know and they'll certainly sort it out and they'll get on it. So, yeah. So they're Aussies, but they are committed and not quite as laid back as Aussies normally are. So they will go out of their way to do things. And I say that in a loving way, I promise. So we've got Matt and Friends Drink the Universe, another cool alcohol-themed podcast. The comedy podcast where great drinks meet great stories. Join host Matt and rotating crew of friends as they share laughs, taste unique craft beers, cocktails, wines, and spirits, and dive into the stories, history, and science behind every single sip. So, yeah. And to be honest, you sometimes think to yourself, like, they're going to be drinking, it's going to be messy or whatever, the audio is going to be all over the place. But not very rarely. I mean, sometimes it does happen. It depends how strong the drinks are. But it's very rare that, it's not a lot of people that say no words. You're able to actually make out exactly what they're talking about. So, yeah, they are awesome. I love them. This is one of the self-help ones. And it is from Cindy. And she's got a podcast called Hypno Wellness. Is a calming hypnosis podcast created to support emotional well-being, stress relief, and healthier relationships with yourself. Hosted by certified hypnotherapist Cindy Brainerd. Each episode blends gentle education with soothing guide hypnosis to help listeners slow down, reconnect to their bodies, and create lasting mindset shifts without pressure or judgment. It is a peaceful space for relaxation, self-care, and real-life healing. There's an also little caveat as well to this, which he has to actually put at the beginning of the episode as well, which seems absolutely insane to me. But if you were to listen to this episode, please make sure you're not driving or operating machinery or anything like that, because obviously it is in the case that it is hypnosis. So, it can sort of obviously mess with your mind, but also you're supposed to listen to them and be relaxed for that few minutes. Just take a moment for yourself and listen to this podcast. She's got such a soothing voice as well. So it's like, oh yeah, it's amazing. Right, now we're going to go over to a sciencey and comedy kind of podcast. And I have been excited to actually say this lady's name, and you'll see why in a minute. So the podcast is called Well, That's Interesting. It's a comedy meets science podcast for weird people who like learning about weird stuff. Like, can hair grow between your teeth? Or could we ever lose our moon? Sadly, yes, to both. These are 100% weird. Yeah. So, I don't want the hair between my teeth. That sounds weird. WTI, which obviously stands for, well, that's interesting, tells the story behind the facts, and turns out those stories are actually funny. Join Jill Chacha. I love it. Cha 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 cha. Every week, as so anyway, let's say that properly. Give Jill her full credit, that she deserves. Join Jill Chacha cha 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 every week as they take the flock which is, flock of business goose. So that's what her listeners are called. On a journalistic storytelling adventure into new, bizarre, and often unexpected findings. The tales are epic and the laughter is plentiful. Yeah, honestly, this one cracks me up every week. When you just get excited and you think, oh my God, yay, it's this episode. So yeah, awesome. So that is the podcast that I've been listening to. And I hope that maybe from this and from what the descriptions that people have supplied, that maybe you guys will go check them out and have a little download and listen. Again, please make sure you listen to us as well, because we are an indie podcast as well. And we do need your support as much as possible. So, it is kind of a plea. Please help us. Help! I'm desperate. But at the same time, enjoy what you're listening to as well. So why not? Just because it's an indie podcast. And also to mention as well, a lot of these podcasts that I've just shouted out as well are people that are doing it on their own. Now, I've been sitting here for about 30 plus minutes. I'm not going to say exactly how long because I know there's going to be a few edits, but I've been sat here feeling a bit like a Burke, talking to myself. It's so much easier when you're just talking to like James, or Andy or the other James or whoever, but at the same time, So for these people, they actually do get on and they do their podcasts and they do it on their own. And I think it's very, very brave, first of all. And they do a much better job than I do. So, maybe they do, maybe they don't. You decide. But anyway, again, just because they're indie podcasts does not mean that their quality is poor or anything like that. They are up there with the big podcasts. And the big podcasts have normally got people who are doing all of the crappy stuff that we have to do in the background. They're getting paid to do that. It'll be amazing. Oh, I'm amazed to get paid to do, check out this podcast. Check out this podcast. Oh, here it is again. Hi. But no, I can't complain. Oh, wait. Yes, I can. It's Talking Codswallop. So I think that I have been talking enough Codswallop this week. I have been Gemma. Bye-bye, everybody.
This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.